get started with this 4-speed Evo Sportster transmission. Right now it's all together, but I'm gonna take it apart and show how to reassemble, and you know, some stuff that is in the manual but not in videos, and some stuff that's in videos but not in the manual. So yeah, let's get started here. So just following, I always like to have my manual next by, but just following the process here, we're gonna pull out this gear and from the counter shaft and the spacers. Make sure to keep all that together in kind of the same spot. Pull out that main shaft. Now, the low gear and this gear are kind of, you know, held on by this one by pressure, and then this one by a snap ring. So you can disassemble that all the way if you want to clean it. But really, you know, let's see if my autofocus works here. Yeah, so you can disassemble this if you want to clean it. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, no need to kind of break another thing. So I'm gonna put that aside. You know, as far as I know, it's not broken, so I'm not gonna try to fix it. Next thing is we're just gonna pull out this shaft that holds the shift forks on. You see this kind of falls out easily. Technically that's not the right order, but that's okay. We're just gonna rotate this out to the side and pull this as well. One thing that I will say is that disassembly is pretty easy and neutral, but reassembly, and this isn't in the manual or anything that I watch, but reassembly is really the easiest in fourth gear, so I'm going to pull this out as well. And this all comes apart. You know, we have our spacer here for on the counter shaft, keeping that apart, and then we have another spacer here. So this spacer as well is on the main shaft. They're slightly different, so that's part of the reason too I don't want to pull that main shaft apart, is because I don't want to start getting spacers confused and have to measure them out and all that crap. So we'll just keep that like with like. Reassembly, pretty much just the first thing to note is, or that I really want to note here, is that there's no guidance in any of the videos that I watched around, you know, what gear to assemble this in. This is the mechanism which actually changes gears. Right now we're in first, sorry, and the way that you can tell that is there's this little like humpy little piece right here, and I'll get my indicator out. There's this like little humpy part here in between first and second. That's going to be neutral. So right now we can tell that this bike is set up to, or this transmission is set up to set up all our gears in neutral. It's kind of hard to get everything in neutral. It's much easier. Just everything lines up much more cleanly in fourth gear, which is just all the way over here, and you can see it won't allow us to shift. So just highly recommend setting up that transmission in fourth gear. It makes the shift forks line up easier. That's kind of why. All right. Important, have some coffee. All right, so the very first thing that I also want to call attention to that's not noted in a lot of the videos or in the manual is this particular spacer here. It has these two slots on either side. Those are meant to be facing into the bike, so facing us as we reassemble it. So, you know, this was one that I had a big question mark when this was just sitting in a box. And I was like, what the hell is this thing? But, you know, I looked at some parts manuals and whatnot, and it kind of showed me what's what. So next step here is going to be getting this counter shaft together. So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, kind of opposite order of operations, put that spacer on, dogs facing dogs, right? So we want to go put those dogs up. We have our spacer. Great song on right now from Emil and the Sniffers' new album. Highly recommend it. Okay, so when we're reassembling this, this is a question mark as well that isn't really noted in the manual. It doesn't seem to be noted in a lot of videos that I'm watching. as well. So this particular gear, there's one side that has a groove and there's another side that has a shoulder. So what this shoulder does is it prevents the gears from running on the inside of that trapdoor. So what I'm gonna do is just put that together with that in mind. Boom. Just make sure everything slots in really nicely. Okay? Yeah, I did that totally wrong. So, all right. Counter shaft has 5 gears. It has 4 dogs. Duh. Right? There's really only one way you can put this together. So it just goes to show, you know, I'm not an expert. I'm definitely learning here. And I could tell too because it wasn't sitting down like it should. So, all right, now my shift fork is sitting down like it should. Next step is to put on this this other gear, which is going to sit really nicely in there. Awesome. So with that, I'm going to try this again. Nice. Slots in really nicely here. Just setting it up in 4th gear just keeps everything nice and solid. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that shaft that the shift forks are going to be riding on. I'm going to get everything lined up. Boom. Super easy. All right, next thing. Awesome. Main shaft goes in, nice and clean. Then the next thing here. Okay, so they never want the gear riding directly on the shaft, right? They want a little spacer in here. So just keep where your spacers are. Boom. Boom. Just like that, we've got the whole transmission together. When you look at the spacing, again, these spacers keep this gear from riding directly on the case, just like we saw with the trapdoor below it. This spacer keeps that low gear from riding directly on the case as well. So, you know, hopefully this all goes together pretty simply. You know, I didn't really know anything about transmissions. I think kind of as you saw as I was putting this together, I just have a bunch of reps in on taking it apart, putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together, you know, just to try to understand how it works. Yeah, everything's you know, seems to be riding pretty well here. I do have, there we go, we're in 2nd, and then we're in neutral. So this is where we're going to measure all of the spacing between these 2 gears. I have a special tool coming in to kind of do that, and you know, but it seems like we have clearance. You know, I did it based on what was already in there in the bike. I think I set up the spacers on this end, which was kind of the critical part. So I think we're going to be good just to bolt this in, you know. As you can see, everything's kind of working. It shifts through gears fine. I'm not going to put it all the way down first, just because I don't want to. I want to leave it in neutral for when I adjust it. But yeah, so I'm just going to run it through that special part, and you know, that kind of stacks everything up. I wish I had a vise. That would be a really nice tool to have, just to kind of hold everything in one place. And I think I'm going to have to get one to use that special tool there to measure all that spacing. All right, that's what I got. First of all, I have this counter shaft here, and there are a couple of issues that I noticed. Let me just get my indicator here. So one is that this was actually kind of helpful as I was starting to get you know, this stuff together. When I got this bike, everything was in a box. So but there's some very slight, well, I don't even know how slight or not slight it is, but there's some wear here where those spacers are riding, and there's some wear here on the other side as well. Now, this bike has 6,000 miles. I don't know if this is an appropriate level of wear or not. You know, hopefully someone that's more experienced with these transmissions can tune in the comments and kind of tell me what's going on here. But really the decision that I'm coming to right now is, you know, I have this bike apart. I'm all the way down to transmission, which like never happens. So I'm like, if I'm all the way here, you know, I really should replace this. But on the other hand, you know, this is a relatively expensive part. I'm trying to save some money. I don't know if I'm going to flip this bike or continue riding it. You know, I got this bike for cheap. It's in great condition. It's a really excellent candidate for a flip. And, you know, maybe I really should replace this part, you know, one way or another. I don't want to look back on this video in 6 months and be like, I really should have replaced that. So anyway, someone hopefully can tune in and say, hey, if you have wear and where those spacers are riding, you know, replace that thing right away, especially since you're down in here. But for now, you know, I think where I'm at is I'm pretty much going to put it in the bike and see how it works. I can't really see this creating, you know, a ton of issues besides potentially throwing or wearing some like small metal shavings over time. But, you know, obviously that could be a potential issue. So